97.3 Citi FM. Relevant radio, always.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Business Today with me, Vivian Kai Lokko. Today we're not in the studio, we're at Mervynpig, where we'll be interviewing the Barclays Africa Group Deputy CEO as well as the Group Financial Director, David Hodnett. A lot of issues have come around the Barclays Group proper exit in Africa and the impact on the Ghana operations as well as Africa and what have you. This afternoon we'll look to get all the questions you wanted answered from David. So let me go straight to David and start the conversation. David, welcome to Citi 97.3 FM Business Today.
Great, thanks for having me.
Now, a lot of speculations were around Barclays at the time that it announced that it wanted to exit Africa. Some were saying the move was because Barclays Africa wasn't doing well. Others were saying it was due to UK regulations, etc. Can you set the record straight on exactly why it wanted to exit Africa?
So I think there's a couple of key points. So the first key point for me is I think a lot of people didn't necessarily understand the importance of the creation of Barclays Africa Group Limited, because prior to that in 2013, each of the countries was individually owned by Barclays PLC. But in 2013, when we brought all the operations of Africa together, what we did is we created one legal entity listed on the stock exchange in South Africa. So all of the decisions on Africa specifically are now in the control of Barclays Africa Group Limited. So the only thing we're talking about, does Barclays want to keep their 62% stake in Barclays Africa Group Limited? All these stories that we might hear about, are individual countries for sale, can we split out the rest of Africa, whatever it might be, we categorically are saying that's just can't even be discussed. Barclays Africa Group Limited, we're in control of those decisions. So I think it's been very clear, Ghana's not for sale and it won't be for sale in our structure. So I think that's very important because it allowed us to control all of the decisions around Africa, around it, whereas prior to 2013 we might have had a different outcome. So I think that's a really good news story around it. So I think, once we understand that key point, the reason that PLC needs to pull out or sell down, they've also made very clear, is due to their specific issues that they have around regulations. If you look at Barclays Africa, in fact, we had a very good 2015 financial year. We had one of our most successful years ever. Our return on equity at 17% was the highest since 2008. So we sit in as one of the most profitable entities in Africa from a banking point of view, and one of the largest banks in Africa. So our strategy is to be a systemic bank in every country. So if you go across the African continent, we're the number 3 bank in Ghana, we're the number 2 bank in Botswana, we're the number 3 bank in Zambia, we're the number 4 bank in Kenya, we're the number 3 bank in South Africa, and the biggest retail bank in South Africa. So I think you can speak to the size of what we are. And I think that was recognized by the group, and I think a lot of people look at the African continent and still see the growth prospects. We're very excited by the growth prospects, but there are unique regulations. I don't think they are just unique to PLC though. They are global banking. So you see, I think a lot of the global banks around the world taking similar decisions. Clearly we are interested in the PLC one, Barclays PLC, because it impacts us in Africa around it. But a really good example of the specifics is Barclays has to pay a bank levy. And because we've got such a large balance sheet, because we're a big bank, that bank levy is around £52 million. So PLC has to pay £52 million before you start earning anything from the African operations. And we in Africa don't pay that because we're not based in the UK, so we don't have to pay that off our income statement. That's carried by Barclays.
Okay, so we clarify issues for those customers who called and said, wow, Barclays pay, what is going on? It means Barclays is going to leave Ghana. I'm not going to see the logo again. It's going to be a new law, etc. Clarify for those people. Are we going to see when the Barclays Group pulls out, is it still going to be the Barclays blue and white? Is there going to be a new person coming in so we see a different logo? Is it going to be new rules, new operations? So we're clear on that.
Yeah, so I think let's go the categoric route. So Ghana's not up for separate sale, so it's going to be here. The operation is going to be here. It's going to be part of Barclays Africa Group Limited. Our strategy is not changing, so customers on the ground should see no change in that strategy. And in fact, I think the challenge if that's the right word, that I've given the team locally is, if we look in the last 2 years, and hopefully from a consumer point of view, the consumers out there see that, be they individuals or customers, the amount of investment that's coming to Ghana got examples of the Nesta Square branch that's just been launched and
Yeah.
other technology. We're carrying on investing, and that's going to continue. I think clearly the brand we understand is an emotional brand. It's very, very strong across Africa.
Been here for like ever.
Yeah, well, we're celebrating 100 years in Kenya this year. It's 99 years in Ghana, so it's 100 years next year. So it's a local brand.
Yeah.
We understand that. I think what we can say at this point in time is we understand it. We have contractual protection in place, so nothing's going to change in the short term. But clearly, depending on what the regulators in the UK require from Barclays around regulatory deconsolidation, what that means, what their requirements are, we have to look at the impact of the brand. So I think no change immediately for customers,
At least
strategy
within
and
2
brand.
to 3 years.
But we have to, I think we have to understand that we have to sit down with PLC now and their regulators and understand what the announcement really means and what the requirements of those regulators are.
What impact will PLC's pullout have on your operations here in Africa?
So we think largely limited around it. So big portions of our business are completely unimpacted. So our bank assurance business, which we're rolling out across the continent, virtually zero impact. So you'll see us publicly talking about the fact that we're trying to acquire something in Ghana at the moment. We did an acquisition in Kenya. We're looking at Ghana now to roll out our internal bank assurance operations. Our retail and business banking operations, very limited impact. So as individuals, if you look at the kind of branches and technology we're rolling out with ATMs, in our view it's probably going to be better. There is some detail around your card might be called Barclay card. So once again, it speaks back to the brand and look at it, but all that technology sits here. In our CIB space, there are areas of our business impacted. A good example is multinational corporates. We had a clear advantage because of our international parent when big corporates like Tullow Oil or something might have come into Ghana, that they would have naturally come to us to bank. I think our strong belief though is Barclays still needs a partner in Africa. Their customers are still going to operate in Africa. The big corporates around the world aren't suddenly going to say, okay, we're not going to be in Africa because Barclays isn't. So it would make perfect sense for us that our partnership with Barclays continues in some fashion going forward because we've been their partner for so many years already. So I think we believe a lot of that is solvable.
So you feel in the absence or when they pull out, they still, if they have to do, transactions in Africa, or if they still continue with their transactions, they still have you,
Yeah, so we think we will keep the partnership, but we've got to go through that level of detail now. The announcement's only 2 months old, and we would, in front of all the clients that I've been visiting, the argument is if you want to work with somebody in Africa, you probably want to work with us. I gave the examples of how big we are across Africa, and what we find with the big multinational corporates is they need banks that are local, that have big distribution networks, big branches, because it's not just about solutioning them as corporates, it's solutioning their employees that they need as well. So they need the full solution, and we're able to offer that in pretty much every country that we're in.
A lot of people are curious of, I know it's just 2 months since the announcement, but how far negotiations are going on getting a new partner to come on board or to take up that 62%. Can you tell us a little bit of how far things have gone?
Yeah, so I think very early days around it. We have said that clearly the regulators across the continent are going to play an important role in that decision making as well. Why? Because we're systemic in every market. So the Ghanaian regulator is very concerned with who the shareholder is going to be, what's the impact of it, as much as the South African regulator is. So the regulator will have a say. But both Maria and Jez have publicly said that there's a lot of interested parties around it. But we have to go through that detail. Is that interest real? Is there funding behind it, etc.? And we have quite strong criteria for the kind of shareholders we're looking for. We're looking for long-term shareholders that want to be in Africa and understand the Africa growth story.
There are a lot of names that came up when it was in the speculation period. We had China's ICBC, we heard of France's Societe Generale, we even heard of Bob Diamond's Atlas Marine, all that. What kind of investor would you like to see that will continue to push the agenda that you've set in Africa?
So the one bit of speculation that's easy in terms of names that have come up is, as I said, no individual operations are up for sale.
Yeah.
So the only thing that is up for sale is the share in Barclays Africa Group Limited. So there's no I can buy Ghana, or I can buy Kenya, or I can buy South Africa. That is not going to happen, and that's categoric. And then if you look at the size of the transaction, depending on market value at any point in time, this stake is probably worth 60 to 70 billion rand.
That's right.
So it's a significant stake. And the kind of shareholder that I indicated earlier you're looking for is somebody who's long-term interested in Africa and has the money to do it. Regulators aren't going to allow this operation to be bought by somebody who needs to borrow money. So they're going to be looking for investors who are able to afford this kind of purchase.